Hello everyone, thank you for listening to this talk. It's about a new initiative in education, which I hope will be useful as well as interesting. Please, if you have any feedback, I would appreciate it. Thank you. I teach on a master's programme in international education at the University of Tsukuba. And the courses that I teach there are about the kinds of teaching and learning that best suit our present-day situation of globalization, along with the uncertain future we face because of this. And in these courses, we look at, for example, the international baccalaureate programs, the IB programs, as they are seen to be relevant for the 21st century in many ways. But we also look at more recent initiatives available to schools, initiatives that they might want to adopt to bring about the changes they deem necessary. One of the most hopeful initiatives that I've come across recently is something that I was introduced to on the Mind and Life conference I attended in Kyoto last September. It is called C-Learning, and it directly and practically addresses needs that I think many of us in the field of education have recognized for some time as being in need of urgent attention. C-Learning stands for Social, Emotional and Ethical Learning. It's true, of course, that many, if not most educational programs, like the IB, already include understandings that social-emotional skills are an important part of any curriculum. But even though their importance is recognized, they are invariably placed as secondary to the primary goal of developing cognitive concepts that can be assessed. They are promoted as being instrumental in improving such assessment scores. You know the kind of thing. Let's practice mindfulness skills because they help you relax and be less anxious. And then you can focus better on the examination this afternoon and your score might improve. And ethical principles, well, they can be found in most mission or vision statements of any educational establishment. But systematic frameworks and practices for their development are rarely there. Of course, the purposes of education are many, and they change in priority over time and place, reflecting but sometimes also leading other changes in society. For instance, as the educating influences of local communities, religious bodies, and extended families have slowly disappeared in many cultures, formal education in schools has been increasingly tasked with filling the gaps these have left. Once these gaps are noticed, that is. This accounts for why social-emotional learning is often associated with a deficit situation, a negative situation, as it's only recognized as a need when problems arise in the social-emotional domain. So the necessary skills are then invoked to deal with symptoms rather than causes. And as far as ethics is concerned, we often hear a cry for a return to character education, for example, when unethical behaviour erupts from seemingly nowhere. We seem to assume that ethical behaviour and social-emotional stability should be automatic norms. But why? How? I think somewhere we've forgotten that education, a holistic education, includes, at least ideologically, the idea of teaching people how to live well, to live meaningfully, to flourish, both as an individual and socially. Recalling this idea could, and personally I think should, be a major aim in 21st century education, especially now that so many borders of all kinds, including those in education, are breaking down and loosening up. This situation actually provides us with excellent opportunities to restructure and reform curriculum. At the moment, though, educational qualifications and the assessments for gaining them are integral to the way our world still works, and we can't ignore that. But we can ask, is our ideal of an educated person who can live a meaningful and fulfilling life and who can contribute to a thriving society merely someone with a long list of qualifications? And I think we will surely hear answers that say no, we need more than that. And that more will likely include the need for developing social, emotional and ethical learning as core values and goals, not secondary or marginal ones. Certainly, this is what I hear from many of my students when we consider what education is for in class. So anyway, let's say for now that there is some general agreement on the need to make social, emotional, and ethical learning central in education, in schools and in universities. How do we do this in practice? It's much easier to declare a principle and put it into practice. But I think we can learn something here from the International Baccalaureate. There are many reasons why the IB programs have been successful, but for sure, one is that they are a combination of principles plus guidelines of how to put these into practice as a curriculum. IB teachers are heavily supported through workshops and other resources on what the guidelines look like in practice. Whereas the OECD, for instance, while it produces excellent, relevant and inspiring publications about education, offers no such structured guidelines on how to put them in place. And this makes it very difficult for school implementation. Structured guidance is crucial for the successful implementation of new and aspirational ideas. And so this brings me back to the C-Learning initiative that I mentioned at the beginning, and which I find so exciting and so very important. C-Learning is a principle-based vision plus a practical curriculum framework with supporting teaching materials. Schools and other institutions that recognise how social, emotional and ethical learning should be core and primary in the education now have a programme they can implement. You can find out more about C-Learning on their website, and I hope you will. And I hope if you are in a position to introduce this kind of learning into a central place in education, that you will help to do this. So I hope you enjoyed listening to this talk and that it's maybe useful for you if you're in the field of education. If you like it, please subscribe and leave any comments you have below. Thank you.